is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Good evening and welcome to the Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. This is your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, as always, my co-host and lovable producer, Tim Dennis. Good evening, Tim.
What up, dude?
Thank you very much for joining us this evening. For those of you that are familiar with MySpace, you've been seeing the bulletins we've put up today and also on our mailing list. We have an announcement to make. First of all, we'll start off with the guests that we have with us on line one. We've got Scott and Jeff. Scott, are you there with us?
I'm here.
Great. Is Jeff with you, did I hear?
I thought he was. I don't know if he's still here. Jeff?
Oh, that's fine. We can talk. We've got okay. Scott on the line here from OmniSoundRadio1.com, .net, .everything, isn't it? You guys are pretty much covered on every one of those?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We are now a new member of OmniSound Radio 1's network. We're on there. Our show will be streaming on that network every Sunday night from 10 p.m. Central to midnight. And we've got Jeff on the line here. Jeff is also the host of a fantastic paranormal show. And I hesitate to call it paranormal. You don't even call it that much paranormal, but it's called World of the Unexplained with Jay Scott. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's me.
Okay. Well, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about OmniSound Radio 1 and fill them in on what they can find there and what they can expect.
Well, OmniSound basically is your home for the paranormal. We have a wide variety of shows. My show, World of the Unexplained. Your show, Dave, now. Ghostly Talk, Night Watch with Todd Sheets. We've got Full Moon Radio. We've got Clyde Lewis. We've got just tons and tons of people. We're adding more every day.
Great, and that's running. So just about any day you tune in to OmniSoundRadio1.com, OmniSoundRadio1.net, you can find a show that's available to listen to that covers just about every aspect of the paranormal and strange circumstances, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's right. And that one that you mentioned, the OmniSound Radio 1, that could be either the number 1 or ONE spelled out. So they can access that any way they type that in.
Great. And just for everybody, it is Omni, OmniSoundRadio.com or .net. So that's OmniSound Radio. We want to thank them for adding us to their great lineup. And as you mentioned, you got some fantastic shows that are on there each week so people can tune in. And what else is available at the website there so listeners can check it out?
Well, we also have a chat room that's usually up and running during the shows, and that's at OmniSoundRadio1.net/chat. And you can also just go to the regular web page and click on the chat button, and you can make up a name and register. It doesn't take but about 5 seconds, and then you'll be right in there.
Great. So everybody that wants to go in and chat during the live shows can do that as well.
That's right.
All right. We do have some great news, too, that we've been in negotiation and talking to Jeff over there at OmniSound, that starting in about 2 weeks, the darkness will be spreading. We're going to be going to a 4-night-a-week format. Most likely it'll be Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and you'll still be catching us live on our Sunday night shows as well, right in our normal time slot. We'll be getting back to you with more information on the time slot that we'll be fitting into each night and cover all that. So I want to thank everybody over at OmniSound for getting us in and helping us to progress and build the show a little bit. And, if there's anything we can do for you, and everybody, please do go check out the site if you can do it right now while you're listening to the show. If you're listening to the archive show, you're going to want to check it out and go over to OmniSoundRadio1.net. Check out the other fantastic paranormal shows there as well.
Awesome.
Great. Well, Scott. Jeff couldn't be with us, but Scott, thank you very much for being on with us. Got to have you on in the future anyway, so we can talk a little bit about your show, World of the Unexplained, and give a quick plug. What night a week is your show on, and what times can people find you?
That's Monday nights, every Monday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This Monday we have, which will be tomorrow night, we actually have Prophet Yahweh, the man who calls down UFOs, is coming right on the show.
Awesome. And if you can't get enough of Mr. J. Scott, he also has another show called J. Scott's Rock Block. And what night is that on?
That's on Wednesday nights from 10 to midnight. I interview different rock and roll celebrities, managers, producers, promoters, and just play a lot of butt-kicking rock and roll.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for checking in with us tonight, Jay, and we'll look forward to hearing you on the radio here soon.
Thanks so much for having me, Dave.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that's our big announcement. I hope everybody's as psyched about it as we are. You'll be able to hear Dave and Tim. Well, kind of Tim. He doesn't chime in a whole lot, but you'll hear...
I'm not allowed to.
Well, you are.
You put that ball gag in my mouth for most of the show, and but
nobody's supposed to know about the GIMP. Come on.
Oh, do I like it.
We've got another guest on the line here with a special announcement for us this evening as well for Darkness on the Edge of Town radio listeners. We got Rick on the line. Rick, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Dave. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks a lot for joining us again. For those of you that tuned in last week, you heard that we mentioned the EVP with Attitude symposium that's coming up, and Rick is heading that up. He's here to tell us a little bit about the event and also tell us some of the stuff that's going on and the special price he has for Darkness on the Edge of Town radio listeners. So go ahead, Rick.
Well, tonight's a special price for people that are listening to Darkness Radio. It's going to be $75 per person as opposed to the $100 per person normal price. And we will keep that price up for a couple extra days so the people that are listening to the archive show can grab it too. EVP with Attitude is going to be held in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania at the Haunted Flagstaff Resort. It's a resort that sits on top of a mountain, and they have their own resident ghost there. The whole town of Jim Thorpe itself is supposed to be haunted as well. It's been on the Travel Channel, the History Channel, and several other TV shows as well. The EVP with Attitude seminar basically is going to be lectures by myself and Bill Lanero, the TAPS EVP specialist, on audio science, EVP theory, and audio recording and processing techniques. It's going to be a very interesting seminar because at the end, it's going to feature a 2-hour live rock concert by Bill Lanero's band, Lanero. I don't think anything like this has ever been done before.
Fantastic. Sounds great. Yeah, and for everybody that's interested in learning more about EVPs, learning how to use it, clean it up, get that stuff going, this is the perfect opportunity for you to go out there. And Bill Lanero does a great job. He does all the cleaning of the EVPs and ups the sound and everything on them for the TV show Ghost Hunters, correct?
Yeah, he does. He does. Most of the EVPs that you hear on Ghost Hunters were cleaned by Bill.
Awesome.
Both myself and Bill have worked in the audio production industry for a long time. I was a touring audio engineer for 10 years, and Bill was a studio engineer and worked with audio restoration. So what you're going to be learning is stuff that we picked up through our professions and transferred over to our work in the EVP research field.
Awesome.
I think it's something that is going to be a real hit with people.
Good. And how can people find out more about this, and where can they go to look it up?
To find out more about it, you can go to www.evpor.com. You can also purchase tickets there. And we also have a MySpace account set up for it, and that's www.myspace.com/EVP with Attitude. And you can also purchase tickets off of there.
Great. And for all of the listeners of the show, both tonight live and over the next couple of days for the archive show for people that are tuning in, they're making that available to you. It's normally $100 a ticket. If you contact them, let them know that you're a listener of Darkness on the Edge of Town Radio, they're going to reduce it by $25 so you can get into this fantastic event for just $75 for the weekend event. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining us, Rick. And if there's anything we can do to help promote the program more as we go along, you know that we're here for you. I look forward to talking to you, and hopefully we'll get to see you out there at the EVP seminar.
Well, thanks a lot, David. I hope you can make it out, and I hope that some of the listeners can certainly make it out. They're going to have a great time.
I hope so. All right, well, you take care, sir.
Okay, you take care, too. Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Good night. All right, before we go into our first guest for the evening, I want to do a quick deal just to let everybody know our paranormal trip number 2. For those of you that are new listeners, please check out our website at darknessradio.com /trips. We have a paranormal radio trip coming up where we're going to be going on a ghost hunt with Jason and Grant and Paula from TV's The Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel. We're going to be doing that the first weekend in November, and we're going to be going to do an investigation at the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. That's the hotel that Stephen King stayed in when he was writing the book The Shining. It's the book, or the hotel that inspired the novel as well and the movie. So it's a fantastic place. If you got to see the season finale of The Ghost Hunters, they went there and had phenomenal results with what they were able to get on their equipment and actually be able to prove. It's a great opportunity for people to come out and network, meet with other fans of the show, of our show. Also, we're tied in with Night Watch, so Todd Sheets will be there. We're going to do, there'll be lectures, there'll be seminars, there'll be some fun, there'll be games. You can win a lot of great free merchandise. You can meet and greet with the Ghost Hunters, get to see all kinds of cool stuff. We're even going to have a special showing of the movie The Shining that'll be taking place at the Stanley Hotel. So you want to make sure to be a part of it. We only have 40 tickets left. We open it up for the first 150 people. 40 tickets have been sold. We're doing phenomenal. Can't thank you enough. We are going to do the quick drawing here. As I get ready, we're going to draw for the next person that wins their free weekend to the Ghost deal. And there we go, Tim. You get to be the bad guy this time. Draw one
Why
out.
Me?
Because I like when you're the bad guy.
Oh, you stop.
It's role-playing. Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right. And the name on the card is Lisa, and I'll probably butcher this. I apologize. It's Lisa Arendt. I think that's Halloween Queen from our boards. Lisa Arendt, you are the winner this evening. Congratulations. You get to go on the trip. We'll be refunding your money to you for signing up. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. We have one more drawing to do. As soon as we sell out, we'll draw the third and final name. And if your name is pulled, we'll give you a refund of your money. We're going to come back after a few minutes. We're going to be back with Jeff Belanger, our first guest for the evening here. And if you have questions for Jeff talking about nightmares in his brand new book, The Nightmare Encyclopedia, Your Darkest Dreams Interpreted, give us a call at 800-960-2289. Again, that number is 800-960-2289. Something else to consider, our second guest, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, is in the air flying right now. There's bad weather out there. Let's keep a good thought for her, that she gets in safely. Hopefully, we'll have her on for the second hour. If she cannot make it, we do have medium CJ Sellers standing by. She'll be able to do some mini readings for people. So you'll want to give us a call and let us know if you want to have a reading done. We'll be right back with Jeff Belanger right after this.
Are UFOs real? Does Bigfoot exist? Was Emily Rose really possessed? Who is the next American Idol?
She bangs! She bangs! Oh, baby, when she moves, she moves. I'm wasted by the way.
Thank you.
We try to answer these questions and more each week on The Darkness on the Edge of Town.
If you read Taps Paramag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd
Could not go to work because Bigfoot stole my car.
and the creepy. Taps Paramag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of The Ghost Hunters to the latest trends in technology, the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparamag.com.
Try not to fall asleep. We'll only give you nightmares. Welcome back to The Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Good evening and welcome back to the show. Our guest this evening is Jeff Belanger. Jeff leads a very haunted life. He's been fascinated with the supernatural since the age of 10 when he investigated his first haunted house during a sleepover. Since then, he's been a writer and a journalist for various newspapers and magazines. And in 1999, he launched GhostVillage.com as a repository for his writings on the subject of the supernatural. The site has since grown to become the largest paranormal community on the web. It attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors per year. Over the years, though, Jeff has interviewed hundreds of people about their experiences with the profound. His objective for the entire thing is to approach the subject and make the supernatural accessible to a wide audience. Jeff has written and released the Encyclopedia of Nightmares, and he's on the show with us this evening to discuss the meanings behind nightmares. We're going to also take your emails and calls. If you have calls or questions for Mr. Belanger, you can give us an email at dave@darknessradio.com. Again, that's dave@darknessradio.com, or you can give us a call at 1-800-960-2289. Good evening, Jeff.
Hey, Dave and Tim, great to be with you guys.
Great to be with you. Thanks for joining us, and let us say a big congratulations to you for winning the state soccer championship.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. I apologize if I sound raspy, but I've been coaching a team for 3 years now, and we got to go all the way to the big dance and win it all today, so it was pretty exciting.
Well, congratulations. See, so it wasn't a nightmare for you. You had a good dream for this one, didn't you?
Yeah, it was a dream come true, absolutely.
I've got some good questions here. I've got one, let's start off the show with, from Ginger on the boards. And she says she's never seen a book like yours that deals with nightmares. What made you decide to write the Encyclopedia of Nightmares, Jeff?
Well, I've always been interested in the profound, in these things that are, I call them fringe experiences, though certainly dreams and nightmares aren't really that fringe, but they're profound and they affect us. And I started as a paranormal guy. I started with ghosts, but many experiences kind of get into the realm of happening while we sleep. One example, of course, are like precognitive dreams or visitations, where people have dreams where they felt that they were more than dreams, they were actual visitations. Or things like old hag syndrome, which is the event where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're paralyzed and you feel like there's a presence coming down on you. And so that got me started along the road. And then, I began to realize there's a lot of mysteries going on while we sleep at night. We don't fully understand science doesn't have a good explanation yet as to why we dream, what's exactly happening. We have a lot of good ideas as to what's happening, but we don't have all the answers yet. And of course, dreams are wonderful. We can play out all kinds of fantasies and different, different aspects of our lives, but nightmares stay with us. Nightmares stay with us for a very long time.
No doubt.
I can recall a nightmare I had when I was 10 years old, and that was many years ago now, and it can change your behavior pattern. It can make you lose sleep. It can wreck your life. So that certainly, I found that more intriguing than just walking through a field of flowers.
No doubt. So you had a fascination with this. I mean, were you plagued by nightmares growing up?
No, not really. I don't think I had any more or less than any average kid. I do recall a few. For example, I had one when I was probably about 10 years old, where I was in an airplane. I was in a commercial airliner, and I remember where I was sitting. I remember who was sitting around me. I remember what the flight attendant looked like to this day. And the plane just started going down. I mean, absolute panic, and right down to the ground. And I didn't fly for many years. Now, since then, I fly quite often now. But I made myself a deal, because when I first started flying again after many years of not flying, I said, all right, if I ever get on an airplane and I see those people from my dream, I'm just getting off.
No doubt. So little Final Destination movie going for you, huh?
That's right. So that's the deal I made with myself, and now I really don't mind flying anymore. But it really affected me. It was so frightening. It would scare me to even think about the dream, and the thought of flying was absolutely petrifying, even though I had no reason to have this fear. But it all began in a dream, and I think a lot of people, have fears that are being played out in our dreams, and certainly they can result in nightmares, and those nightmares can affect us to the point where, you start avoiding things. Maybe it's you avoid snakes, or you avoid going into dark areas without turning on the light, or even the simple closet monster that I think follows a lot of us into adulthood, where you have to have the closet closed before you can go to bed. The door must be shut.
That's right. Let me ask you this: Do you believe in the idea or truth of reincarnation?
I don't know. I don't.
The reason I ask that is I wonder sometimes if we have these nightmares and see these type of things happen because maybe it was what led to our death in the past, or it was something that frightened us from our past.
In researching this book, I talked to so many different people and explored so many different theories just about, why do we dream? One theory about why we dream is that it's simply processing memories, and just basically like defragmenting your hard drive in your head each night. And that may be one of the things going on. I spoke to someone else who said that they believe that, dreams are all precognitive in some way, meaning that we're working through something that's going to happen to us in our dreams. We're preparing ourselves for it. I spoke to someone who said that they believed space aliens were beaming in messages into our dreams. I don't particularly buy into that. But someone believed it. And, if one
Well, that
believes
explains, if we're getting messages beamed into our head, Tim, I think that explains why Clay Aiken is so popular.
Has to be.
It's got to.
It may be. Maybe he's in cahoots with much higher powers than all of us.
Has to be.
But and so maybe if one believes in reincarnation, maybe you are just playing through scenes from the distant past, and that's why some of these things are create such fear in us, because you may have actually dealt with it before. I mean, they're all perfectly valid theories, and what intrigues me more is not so much the why, though that I am certainly interested as to the why, but I'm more interested into the result. The result is, waking up in a cold sweat and changing behavior patterns and understanding ourselves better because of what just happened in a dream, which is in itself, technically a hallucination. I mean, that's what a dream is.
Right.
It's seeing something not with your eyes, but with your mind.
One thing I found rather interesting that you just mentioned, that sometimes you might have a dream about snakes and suddenly you develop your fear of snakes.
Right.
Kind of on a subject like that, I mean, I had this experience growing up, and I know I had friends that had the same experience, where it's almost the same with, somebody of the opposite sex that you never took notice of, and all of a sudden they're in a dream, and you have these feelings or, interest in them. You wake up and see them the next day, and all of a sudden there's just this emotion you feel for this person.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, there's so much going on. I think the bottom line is there's so much we can learn about ourselves from our own dreams, just from exploring and studying the imagery, the context of our dreams. I think we can learn a lot about ourselves, and maybe it is into the realm of the paranormal, or maybe this is just how we're all wired. But something very important is going on, and I think it's significant, and we need to pay attention to it.
You mentioned earlier about it being precognitive. We have another question here, and I apologize, I cut off the name. The letter starts off, I'm an operator in the Para Investigators chat channel, and I have a question, one that I would like some other opinions on. When I was 9 years old, I had a terrible nightmare that predicted my grandmother's death a full year before it happened, and it happened 1 year later, exactly as I dreamt about it. No one listened to me, and I think her death could have been prevented due to the fact that it was an unnatural and cruel death. Ever since that one dream, I've had the ability to see things before they happen, to interpret and sense things others can't, mostly through touch. For a while, it slowed down and almost stopped. Now, since I'm involved in the paranormal more and more, the ability is taking more active role in my life. What is this? Why does it happen? Can I control it? And what do these dreams mean for me?
Yeah, that's it. So is this person saying that only in dreams they're getting these messages?
That's what it looks like to me, although he did throw in the one line that he can get it through touch now as well.
Right.
Ever since that one dream, I've had the ability to see things before they happen, to interpret and sense things others can't, mostly through touch. Tim, if he's in the chat room, maybe he can clarify that for us if he's hearing the question being read.
Well, To quickly talk about another book I wrote, which was called Communicating with the Dead, which was a book about the devices and methods people use to try to communicate with the other side, like Ouija boards and tarot cards and mirror gazing and even EVP and spirit photography. I found a lot of people I spoke with, it's kind of a psychic experience, and I spoke with psychics who used to use Ouija boards and found all of a sudden they didn't need them anymore. The Ouija board was almost like training wheels on the bike, and they could start to go direct. And so I think if one is delving into the realm of the psychic or the precognitive, where you're actually gleaning something that's going to happen in the future, whether it's with a Ouija board or in a dream, you're kind of developing that side of yourself, and you're paying attention to it, and you're exploring it. And when something comes true, either consciously or subconsciously, maybe you're trying to repeat that pattern and say, well, what else can I learn ahead of time? So, that's certainly interesting. Precognitive dreams go back, millennia. I mean, they're in the Bible. They're mentioned all over the place where people dream something that comes to pass. But as far as what's going on, what's going on is a different answer for every single individual on this planet.
Right.
It's not an easy one to label.
If I can, let me mention again real quick for people that are just tuning into the show, our guest this evening is Jeff Belanger, and I noticed, Jeff, that there's also another name on here, Kirsten Daly.
Yep, she was my co-author.
Okay, I want to make sure we give her credit as well.
Yep.
And you've got book brand new called or not brand new, but it's a book that's just been out called The Nightmare Encyclopedia, Your Darkest Dreams Interpreted. And this book is available through every outlet, right? Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, XXX store down the street, wherever.
That's right.
Okay. Now, inside...
Way in the back.
Now, let's talk about inside the book here. Does this break down if I've had dreams about falling, or dreams about explosions, or dreams about flying, or even seeing the Grim Reaper? Right.
We wanted to explore nightmares, not just the symbols of nightmares, but nightmares in pop culture. How they've inspired art, music, literature, plays, things like that, and then also give some guidance on interpreting it. Now, let me say, I absolutely believe the best person in the world to interpret a dream is the dreamer, the person who had the dream, because that person can put the dream into the context of their own life. Now, we gave some general symbols, but dreams are, like I said before, are unique to every single person on Earth. So if you had a dream about, falling on a banana and then, being covered in whipped cream and
hey, now this is a family show, Jeff. Let's keep it clean.
Right.
Tell me more, Jeff. Come on.
That's just not in the book.
Okay.
we couldn't get that specific, but what you're looking for...
That didn't sound like a nightmare to me, though, Jeff. I don't... That's the next book you're doing in the series.
Well, you cut me off. I was going to go on, but then you mentioned it was a family show,
yes,
I should stop, which is just as well. But no, and so... But what you're looking for are the themes, the significant themes of the dream, because everyone is going to be different.
Before we get into like the dark, creepy stuff, what have you found? What do you feel is the interpretation of this dream that we've all seemed to have had? Right. I think it's a shared experience. The nightmare of showing up in a public place in your underwear or naked.
I
mean, that happens to every... Oh, it means you're crazy.
It means you're crazy. It's that simple. You're absolutely nuts.
Well, good night, everybody. Giggle.
You're all done. Check out.
Good.
No, I mean, of course, I think we've all had that dream. You're naked, you're in your underwear in front of a crowd, and in front of your school, in front of your office. That's just a generally... you're feeling unprepared for something, and that's how it manifests itself. It's just complete embarrassment, and that is common, because there's always something that we feel unprepared for when it comes to our academic or professional lives in some way, and that's the manifestation of the naked dream or the underwear dream.
All right. You're listening to The Darkness on the Edge of Town Paranormal Radio Show. Our guest this evening is Jeff Belanger, and he's here talking to us about his new book, The Nightmare Encyclopedia, Your Darkest Dreams Interpreted. We'll get more into some of the other creepy views from dreams. We'll do that right after this.
We thought El Chupacabra meant the cup of coffee in Spanish.
Me llamo Eduardo Especial. ¿Cómo está El Yay?
What you talking about, Willis?
Shows you what we know. Stay tuned. There's more to come from The Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Howdy, this is Don Raleigh from Evolve Systems. Evolve Systems can't help you lose weight. We don't know anything about diamonds, and we can't help you save a boatload of money on your car insurance. What we can do is help you with your merchant processing. We work with small businesses to provide credit card processing, debit card processing, gift cards, and check acceptance. Whether you need a point-of-sale system, a credit card terminal, or want to accept payments over the internet, Evolve Systems will work with your small business to find the right solution for your merchant processing needs. Ask us how you can get a free copy of QuickBooks 2006. You can reach us at 651-628-4000 or on the internet at www.evolve-systems.com. Now you have a friend. Well, not yet, but give us a call at 651-628-4000 and we can chat. Evolve Systems, where we help you to manage change. This is Don Raleigh. Cheers.
Women today are busier than ever, making it harder and harder to take care of ourselves. I'm Robin Leverton, owner of Ciao Bella Permanent Cosmetics in Brooklyn Park. We specialize in beautiful, natural-looking eyeliner, eyebrows, and lip color. We provide professional and personalized service in a sanitary environment. When you choose Ciao Bella, you are guaranteed the gentlest method available. I'll work with you one-on-one to help you achieve your desired look. We offer a full, rich color palette that will accentuate your natural beauty. If you have allergies to conventional makeup, suffer from hay fever, fever, watery eyes, or the embarrassment of little or faint brow color, and you want a look that will stay fresh all day, every day, then we have the perfect solution for you. Time is a rare commodity, and with Ciao Bella Permanent Cosmetics, we help you take control of your time by giving you a low-maintenance, fresh appearance that you will love every day. Book your appointment by January 31st, and you will receive a 25% discount. You deserve to look your best, and at Ciao Bella, we want to help you. Call 612-306-4961. That's 612-306-4961.
If you read Taps Mag every month, you'll be able to tell the difference between the absurd
Could not go to work because Bigfoot stole my car.
and the creepy. Taps Mag takes you where few would ever go on purpose. From exclusive interviews with the cast of The Ghost Hunters to the latest trends in technology, the field of the paranormal. To join our journey, order at tapsparamag.com.
When Dave was a young boy, he once awoke to find himself staring directly into the eyes of a shadow person. Turns out it was just his life-size cardboard cutout of Donny Osmond.
Go away, little girl. Go away, little girl.
Welcome back to the darkness on the edge of town.
Welcome back to the darkness. As we were saying before we went to break, we're going to talk about more of the creepy dreams. Jeff, what do you think about that? Waking up to the ghost of Donny Osmond standing in your room, huh?
Yeah, that one, I can't even interpret that. You need some help. He's not even dead yet.
That's right. Going back, like I said, we were going to talk about some more of the creepy stuff that's out there. And if you do have questions for Jeff, you can email him in at dave@darknessradio.com. We're also checking the chat rooms live, so got a couple questions that have come up, but we're trying to get a little clarification on exactly what the question is that they're asking. So I just want to make sure that. And then you can give us a call at our 800 number again. And also wanted to mention we did get a call from Rosemary Ellen Guiley, our guest for the second hour, and she is just hit the airport. She's not going to be able to be on the show with us tonight, so she will reschedule. So we will be talking about dream interpretation with her at another time. We do have CJ Sellers, the medium, that'll be coming on at the top of the hour, and she'll be able to do mini readings for people over the phone. So if you have an interest in talking to her, or you'd like to have some questions for Jeff and have some nightmares interpreted, give us a call at 800-960-2289. Again, that's 800-960-2289. And I understand you won't actually interpret, but you can help maybe understand what some of these repetitive signs that show up in our nightmares actually equate to.
You know, I've actually done quite a few interpretations, but my way of doing it is more of kind of pointing you in a direction. Mm-hmm. And just because, again, you must put the dream in the context of your own life. If you had a dream that you're drowning in water, are you a marine biologist? Because that would mean something completely different than if I had that dream.
Sure.
So this is why context is so important, and the symbolism is not necessarily universal, although it gives us some indication of direction to look at.
The symbolism isn't usually that deep all the time either, is it? I mean, if you're not a marine biologist and you're dreaming about drowning, it could just be that you're feeling overwhelmed by things that are going on in your life currently, right? Isn't it pretty
Absolutely.
common sense?
And water tends to deal more with an emotional issue. So if you're drowning, it's probably some kind of something to do with a relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a love interest. It could be with a spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend, that kind of thing. So there's a lot. There's just so much we can learn about picking apart our own lives. But again, the best person to do it is always going to be the dreamer. But books like mine and Rosemary's too. I mean, I know Rosemary. We actually met for the first time a few weeks ago. Can give you a lot of direction and a lot of insight on your line of thinking and decoding what these strange and wonderful and sometimes frightening experiences mean.
And we do have Jeff Belanger on the phone with us this evening. He's an author and has written a book called The Nightmare Encyclopedia, Your Darkest Dreams Interpreted. You can find a link for his book on our website at darknessradio.com/shows. And we have another question for you coming off the internet here, Jeff.
All right.
Jeff, we got a question from Jake who wants to know if you believe that our bodies can be injured during dreams, like falling in a dream or falling out of bed or even onto a bed.
Our physical bodies injured?
Yes.
There's a really interesting thing that happens when we go to sleep at night to normal functioning people. every 90 minutes we go into what's called REM sleep, or deep sleep, the deepest part of sleep. And what happens naturally is that you become paralyzed. From your whole body is shut down, quite literally, because your brain waves are so active you could hurt yourself if your body was not paralyzed. This is a normal part of sleep, and it happens about every 90 minutes to us every night. Now, what happens to some people is they wake up in the middle of one of those cycles, and their conscious mind, it hasn't occurred yet that, oh my goodness, we're awake. So they wake up and they really are paralyzed. This happens to probably 4 out of 10 people have had this experience. I've had this experience. You wake up, you know your environment, you can look around, you can see your room around you, your bedroom, but you can't move. You can't move your arms, your legs, anything. And
that's the dreaded sleep paralysis, or hagging, correct?
Well, sleep paralysis. That's
okay.
Sleep paralysis, correct. And it's very frightening. Some people also see like a dark mass coming to them. Now, people who study sleep scientifically would call that a hypnagogic hallucination, which, and I've also experienced that. And what that means is basically you're seeing what you were dreaming, even though you're awake. So, for example, I remember once dreaming of looking up and seeing a helicopter, and I woke up and I saw my room around me, but I also saw the helicopter for 1-2 seconds, and then it faded away. That is a simple hypnagogic hallucination. Now, when you combine the two, someone who is skeptical and in the scientific community would say, well, you had sleep paralysis combined with a hypnagogic hallucination, which frightened you, and you interpreted that as old hag. But people who have gone through the actual old hag experience believe that it's actually a spectral attack. It's some kind of spirit attack against your physical body, against your spirit body. And if you don't fight it, if you don't break free, it could be devastating. But to get back to the question, as far as physically hurting your body, typically not. I guess some people do fall out of bed.
Right, but I think if I'm understanding the question, in the dream, you're at the soccer meet, and one of the girls kicks the ball and hits you right in the nose. I'm assuming it's girls, I could be wrong. But they kick the ball, hit you right in the nose, and break your nose. You suddenly wake up to a bloody nose and a broken nose. Do you believe that can happen, that the dream can actually imprint itself?
I haven't heard of that. I haven't heard of people that actually, where it's a physiological effect of what they dreamed. And also, too, the dream about falling and hitting the cliff, it's kind of an old wives' tale that if you hit the bottom in your dream, you'll actually die. I did get to speak to more than one person who said, I actually did hit the bottom, and I woke up to tell about it. So,
well, I can tell you as one person, Jeff, so you can put this in your next book.
Please, go ahead.
And this is kind of strange. I don't share this often because it's kind of a weird deal, but I had a dream. I fly in a lot of my dreams.
Right, good.
I have a lot of lucidity in a lot of my dreams where I can control the outcome, and when things are going bad. I know when things are going bad when all of a sudden I can only fly 3 feet off the floor. And I understand that. But in the one dream, I was going up against what looked demonic to me in this dream, and I was able to keep leap flying over this creature. But for some reason, and he was coming at me, but every time I was going, I kept getting lower and lower.
Right.
And at one point, he literally jabbed up with his knife or spear or sword, whatever he had, hit me in the side, and it hurt like hell. And I mean, it started squirting blood. I woke up in pain and looked, and I still have the scar on my side. I've got about an inch-long scar on my side that was trickling blood.
That night, it was trickling blood.
Yeah, it was a cut. It was a fresh cut. I mean, it wasn't like somebody went all the way through all the layers, but I've got a deep scratch that was bleeding. I looked everywhere. I figured I must have rolled over on a thumbtack or something that might have fallen off my posters, all my Springsteen and Prince posters hanging up on Donny Osmond or something. But I was looking for something, maybe even a spring that was sticking up through my mattress that would have caught me, and it just imposed itself. Because I've had that happen where we're in dreams and, mom's going, Dave, time to get up, and I'm hearing it in my dream. So I was thinking maybe it was that same thing. I was experiencing this pain. But it was this demonic creature in my dream that was just heckling me, and it was that archetypal character, almost kind of looks like the little Gollum-y looking character you have on the cover of your book.
Right.
It was this little satanic looking guy who was trying to keep my girlfriend away from me at the time, diving around with this knife trying to get me, and then he just caught me right, and man, did it hurt for a couple days, and I've never been able to explain it. And whenever I tell somebody, they roll their eyes and think I'm a freak, but I mean, that's That's, to me, one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had.
Well, you know what's great about doing phone interviews is you can't tell I'm rolling my eyes.
Exactly. Actually, I could hear.
You could hear me sighing, though.
No, that's actually really interesting. And what was going on with your girlfriend at the time? That were you having any kind of issues with her? Or with
Actually, yeah, that was the strange thing. This the guy that she had been dating, she had broken up with to be with me, and the guy was just pure evil. I mean, he was a dirtbag, just a dirtbag of a guy, and had threatened to kill me. Showed up at my house one day. One of his other girlfriends had contacted me and said he's coming over with a gun. So I had pulled in my driveway, he was blowing his horn, and I'm home alone. I called my buddy, his dad, went out there, and he's sitting there in the car with his hand in his lap and a towel over his hand. And he goes, I want to talk to you. Come on, let's go for a ride. And, either, first of all, whether he's got a gun under there or not, I don't know if I want to get in a car with a man with his hand in his lap and a towel covering it.
Right.
So, but that was kind of a strange situation. But this dream had happened before any of that event occurred. So I don't know, again, if it was a precognitive dream of something that could happen. And but I don't understand the scar. Like I said, literally, I've got a 1-inch scar on my side that I can't place. I don't remember ever gouging myself, tearing myself, anything like that might have started to heal up, and then I scratched it in my sleep again. It's just there.
Well, isn't it? But what I find interesting is that how literal the translation could be. That this monster's keeping you from your girlfriend, which someone who wants to kill you certainly would be a wedge between a relationship, wouldn't it?
Yes.
And and to be represented as a devilish monster that quite literally physically harmed you, that's quite a warning shot, and one that deserves some of your attention. So, it sounds like you did pay attention to it. You didn't get in the car. You called for some backup.
My buddy's father pulled in the driveway, and he's a hilarious little guy. I mean, he's like a billionth level Taekwondo master.
Right.
Jumps out of the car, and he's like, "Hey, Dave, come on, we got to go pick up Leo at the airport. Come on, we got to get going. We're going to be late, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, John, I got to go. I got to go pick up my buddy." And he just had this seething look in his eyes when I went and got in the car, and my buddy's dad wouldn't let me go home for about 2 weeks. I just slept in their basement.
Oh, geez.
But, it was a nice support system. But, yeah, that's one of those dreams that stuck with me, and not even just because of the pain, because of the reality of it. It was just such a weird
physical scar, yeah.
Right, but being able to, I liken my flying ability to getting harder and harder to fly to what most people experience when they try to run away and they get that trudging feeling.
Yep.
Because flight is easy for me in most, just probably about 90% of my dreams.
That's great. Flying's a great sign. If you're having flight dreams, that's generally a very positive outlook on your life. You're feeling, superhuman. Like you can rise above it. That's a great thing. And like you said, the trudging feeling, that's very common for people too, where you can get away. You're faster than that, but it's like you're running through Jello or something. And again, these are issues. These are issues that we need to face, and we need to figure out what's chasing us. Not in the literal sense that is it a monster, is it an axe-wielding maniac, but what does that thing chasing you represent in your life that you must deal with? That's not going to go away. That is going to catch up with you because you just can't outrun it. And that's such an interesting way to look at your own life.
With the book that you're doing, what were some of the most disturbing nightmare dreams that maybe you hadn't experienced, but you found that was a common thread or a common denominator through so many people?
Well, certainly falling is very frightening. I mean, free falling off a cliff, off a building, that's just a horrific experience. That one's very common. Being chased by some kind of monster. And what's interesting about a monster is, I say the word monster, and it's a very generic term, but the reality is when you create the monster yourself, based on your own primal fears, it's more horrific than anything Stephen King or anyone else could draw up, because you created it based on what you fear the most. And so consider that when what your monster is different than my monster.
Tim is usually chased by Liberace.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Freddy Krueger is not scary, but a man with huge diamond rings and a mink coat, and he's frightened as hell.
I keep hoping for Halle Berry, but she keeps looking like Liberace, and that scares me.
Yeah, fair enough, and understandably so. But so there's so many there's so many archetypes that come into play in dreams. But I think the most frightening that I heard of has to do with PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder, because those are true nightmares, but they're real. These are people who are reliving actual experiences that they witnessed when they were awake and conscious, and it's so debilitating. It's absolutely plaguing. I spoke with an officer in the Canadian military he's a medical officer, and he spent some time over in Bosnia, and he was telling me how while he was over there was an explosion nearby, and a family brought in their young daughter who was probably 6 years old, and she was just covered in burns over most of her body, and they had rubbed white cream that they got from the kits that these kits that the U.S. soldiers were giving to all the locals, because they thought it was first aid cream. Well, it wasn't first aid cream; it was toothpaste. And the girl was absolutely in the most horrible pain, not just from the burn, but from toothpaste on a burn, because the family couldn't read English on the tube to know that it was toothpaste and not first aid cream. And so he did everything he could to help this screaming child. And of course, at home he's got a child about the same age. And he never got that image out of his head, to the point where he would relive that experience. He said literally 5 or 6 times a week. He might get one night off a week. And now I talked to him about 10 years after the fact. He said he's got it down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week, where he literally might go the whole night without sleeping because he's so afraid to close his eyes.
Unreal.
Because he keeps seeing that. And this typically happens to our best and finest, our soldiers, our police officers, our
people
EMTs.
that are in horrific positions, right?
That's right. People who are the first to respond to horrible scenes. And, it's a wound. It's an absolute wound that people can't see from the outside, and that has got to be beyond any nightmare that most of us experience, because it was real. You can't wake up and say it was just a dream.
Right.
It's just something I concocted or whatever. That's something that happened, and it's something that kind of deserves a little bit more attention. So but it's that one really shook me when I got to talk to this gentleman, and he told me about the details of it. I said, wow, to have to see that each night.
We've got another question from the boards here, Tim. Go ahead with your question.
Sassy from the boards actually has a nightmare she wanted to relate to you, Jeff, and
all right.
And you tell her. She almost kind of diagnoses it herself, but I'll throw it at you. She says she's had this dream since high school. She's now 29. She still has this dream and had it recently. She's in a parking lot and needs to get her bus, but she realizes that she's left her shoes in her locker and has no time to go back and get them. The buses are getting ready to leave, but the parking lot is full of glass, so she sucks it up and runs to her bus. Then she has to pull the shards of glass out of her feet, and of course it hurts very bad. When she wakes, her feet hurt, no marks, but they feel all torn up.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
I think she's watched Die Hard one too many times. She's empathizing with Bruce Willis running over the glass.
It could be. That's really interesting. So she's missing something that she needs for her journey. That she needs to move forward. Her shoes. But in this sense, we have to figure out what the shoes are. Are the shoes a skill set? I mean, are we talking, in the realm of career? Possibly, because she's catching a bus. Bus is kind of a commuting tool, probably more of a professional thing than a personal thing. So what is she missing in her career is what I would ask her to examine. Is it a skill set? Is it a new computer? Is it an alliance, with the right, business partner, that kind of thing? But I would explore it along those lines. That's what I would recommend, is to just find what's missing. So you can get through some potentially turbulent waters ahead, or glass shard covered streets.
Now the pain shouldn't be such a surprise, because our mind can do so many things. I mean, they've actually been able to show people that have mental illnesses that can actually cause wounds to open up on their bodies.
Absolutely.
Just by thinking about them. So if the dream was that impactful to you, like the cut on my side, unfortunately I actually had one there, but if the dream was that impactful to you, it wouldn't be so strange to wake up and feel that in your feet, would it?
No, absolutely.
Or would you also think, just out of curiosity, that might be a medical condition you want to have looked at, because perhaps it was inflecting itself into your dream, the pain? Because I've had that happen too, where my knee is hurting, I'm laying weird on it, my leg's falling asleep, and all of a sudden in the dream my leg is dead and I can't move it. You know what I mean? Could it be
Right.
one of those situations?
Absolutely. I mean, it's all worth paying attention to, especially when it comes to medical conditions and things like that. And, you know, some of these could be sleep disorders. You know, having a recurring nightmare, not necessarily post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a different issue, but having a recurring nightmare where you're starting to lose sleep over it, or having repeated sleep paralysis, things like that. Sometimes it's an actual medical condition, and it can manifest itself in nightmares. So it's absolutely worth paying attention to. And if your feet really are sore when you wake up, yeah, you're right. It might be worth asking a doctor about it.
Yeah.
But everything is when you're dealing with symbols and you're dealing with individuals, you know, that's why you need to keep a dream journal. You need to pay attention to your own dreams to put them in the context of your life. And what I always suggest is, if this is a recurring dream since high school, you know, note when it happens. Is it a certain time of the month? In which case, you know, are you an accountant? Is this when the numbers are due? You know, things like that. So you can start to
Sure.
draw some kind of parallels as to what's happening in your life when you have this dream.
Let me ask real quickly. We've only got about a minute left on the show for tonight. I'd love to have you back on to discuss this, and you've also got another new book coming out.
Yeah.
But let me ask real quickly. Sequel dreams. Are you familiar with that? Have you ever heard of that, where you have a dream and it feels like you're picking up from a dream you've had a long time ago?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no rules to dreaming, and that's part of what makes it so wonderful too. Is that, you know, it's this whole landscape that you can sometimes have some control over, like you mentioned with your lucid dreaming. But it's a whole universe to explore, and I personally believe most of that universe has to do with ourselves, which makes it all the more interesting to explore, all the more important to explore, and to have a sequel dream. You know, especially again if you keep a dream journal and you can flip back and say, whoa, what happened when I had the first half of this dream?
Problem is the sequels are never as good as the original.
Never. And you can never get the original cast back.
That's right.
It's so difficult, you know. and so, you know, take a look for the parallels.
Great. Well, Jeff, I can't thank you enough for being on. And real quickly, what is the name of the new book that you have coming out?
I have a new book called Our Haunted Lives coming out in just a few weeks, which I'm really excited about. It's a book of interviews with people who've had ghost encounters, but it's a little different way about going at the ghost encounter. It's really exploring the very profound events that have happened to people.
Well, let's have you back on the show in a couple of weeks here then, so we can announce the new book for you.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And again, the name of that book is?
Our Haunted Lives.
All right, and that's by Jeff Belanger, Belanger, our guest this evening. He is the author of the book, The Nightmare Encyclopedia, Your Darkest Dreams Interpreted. Jeff, thanks for joining us this evening. We'd also like to thank Rick from the EVP program, and also like to thank Omnisource Radio 1 for inviting us to be a part of their programming. Make sure you check them out at OmniSoundRadio1.com. We'll be back at the top of the hour with the news. We'll be back with CJ Sellers, the medium, who'll be on hand to do mini readings for you. So stick to it with us here on the show, on the Darkness on the Edge of Town radio show.